So I am attempting to cut my hair as I learned in beauty school, which probably isn't the most updated method. However, it's always worked for me. So I wanted long layers in my hair. I have sectioned out, it's a little uneven right here. I think it goes diagonal, so I'm gonna try to fix that. And I sectioned out my side pieces so you can see those. And another side piece here. And then the bottom, the back gets sectioned into two separate pieces, which I have to do as well. So let's get started, or let's keep going. I'd like to fix this section in the back, which gives me a little more hair into my section in the front. There, that's much better. So now I have this whole section in the front. And as you can see, I cleaned up that back part, so it's nice and even now. I'm gonna spray a little bit more water to the back of my hair, because it gets a little dry. Run through it with my my wet brush, so that I can get through it without tangling or breaking. I want to pull it all the way to the back. And I'm going to use my comb to make an even part straight down the middle of the back of my hair. Great, so I now have two sections in the back as well. Brush those out again with the wet brush because it just makes it easier. There's less breakage. So I need to section that off. Just using tiny hair clips because that's all I have right now. Okay, so I now have 5 sections. I have the 2 sections in the back, I have the 2 sections on the side, and then I have the 1 single section in the front. So I want to wet it a little because it's coming a little dry. Again, brush it with the wet brush to get all the tangles out. Perfect, now I should be ready for my comb. Yes, perfect. So the first step that I want to do is you don't start from the front, you actually start from the middle of your hair or the crown area. And you're going to want to take a section, a very small section, maybe only about a ½ inch wide, even less than that if you want. And you're going to hold that straight up. Now, my hair is all been one length for a while, so I have extremely long hair at the top. What I'd like to do is add layers, which is what this is, a long layered haircut. So you pull that section down to the side and see where do you want to cut that section. So I'm not trying to go extremely layered and cut something on my eye or even my nose. I think that's even a little too short for me. So I'm going to start right around my chin. So now I know that that's where my chin lays. I'm going to comb it up. Now you want this to be completely perpendicular to your hair, or your head. So as you can see, it's straight up in the air, straight from the crown. We're not over directing, we're not under directing. We are just going straight up. Okay, and then at the ends, we're going to cut off those ends. Perfect. Okay, so now the next step is to take another section, again, only, a half an inch or less, probably even way less I like to take. But I know a lot of you out there try to rush these things and you go about a half an inch section. With something like this, it's not going to cause too much of a problem because we're going straight up from the scalp. So as long as you don't go an inch, then you should be okay. So again, I want this straight up from where I had it before. So now we're going to be doing a little bit of directing. So I want it straight up like I had it before. Straight up from the back pieces that I had. So I'm still at the same angle. Bring these down and cut. Cut it all straight again. So now you should have two sections that you can pull straight up and they are straight at the top. One of the other things that I like to do is I like to cut into the blunt edges to make them obviously have more texture. So you can start that whenever you want to. I'm going to start it now because my hair is thick enough here at the ends to do it. And I'm just cutting straight in, and that will give it a little more texture at the ends. See? Okay, so again, next step, take your neck section. One of my sections became a little wacky here, so I'm going to go in and try to fix that. Before I keep cutting. There. Now the third section. Again, another half a centimeter, half an inch, or less than that. If you want to go less, obviously, that's better. So now we're going to be redirecting the hair a little bit farther back. So you want it to line up to that original piece of hair that you cut first. So that should still be sticking straight up. But because we are a few inches further on the scalp, it's going to redirect back a little bit. So we want to redirect that back. Get to the end. Got that. And now, just a little chip in. All right, now the same thing. I think these belong up here already. And we take another section. Comb it. Comb it back. So redirect it towards the back. Make sure that it's combed thoroughly because you want to make sure you're getting the right height where you left off. that. And we'll do a slight chunky here. We've been doing it on almost every one. So I'm going to just do a slight little chunk there. And then the rest of the hair that we have down here that is not in our other sections. Redirect it all the way back. Come up, and then at the end, you should only be seeing a few stragglers there because you've reached your end. So again, I'm going to chop into this a little bit, make it a little fringy or texturized. Okay, now we finished the top part. On to the next part. All right, so the next part, you want to take each side, so work from side to side, and the same thing, we're going to be doing some redirection and things like that. So I always work with my full head of hair still in my hand because I don't have very thick hair, so I can do that. If you have thicker hair, you may want to just take out this middle section right here. And then use that as your guide because we're going to be bringing everything up into the middle, up into the middle. All right, so again, I use all of the hair that I've had because it just helps me keep my line better, and it also helps me get all the cuts precise. So now we have a side piece and we have this. Our back pieces, I'm going to pin back a little bit more because I don't have the right kind of clips right now to do what I want to do. So I'm going to pin that back a little bit so I don't get stuck with any hair there. Now, let's go. So we have the top. We're going to take a section here. Pull it up to the middle. Everything's getting a little dry, so I'm going to spray some more water because that's important. Everything we're doing is wet cutting today, so if you dry cut anything, it is going to come out differently. All right. So, again, not too much. We're not cutting off too much. I'm not trying to do anything to my ends. I'm trying to maintain my ends, even though they need a little trim themselves. But I do want some sort of layering in my hair. Now, a lot of the times when you bring up this last section, or however many sections you have to do. I have very, very, very fine hair on the side of my head, so it only comes up as 1 or 2 sections. And usually that last section, you barely have to take anything out of it. Because it should be almost the length of where we were cutting everything off, which it is. So I'm happy about that. That means that everything's going good. And we'll just chip into that a little bit too. Okay, so we have that side done. Now for the next side. Again, I'm going to clip the rear hair back a little bit more just to get it out of the way. And we're going to take a section. Okay, again, I take all my hair, even the hair that I had on the other side, That's just how I prefer it. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to do it and ways that can make it easier for some people, but this is just how I've always been taught. So this is the way that I cut. So bring it up again into the middle. There's a little bit to cut there. And not too much there. Great. To the side. I'm going to section off another section here. So if your hair is thicker, or you have a lot of hair, I should say, you're going to want to cut these sections a lot smaller than what I am. My hair is just really thin, so I don't have to worry about that. However, with thicker hair, you're going to have to worry about the section viscosity, I should say. Or not viscosity, but the section, making sure that it's small enough and you're not getting any like redirections that aren't supposed to be there, I guess. So again, take another section, pull up all the hair. Make sure the hair in your sections is very, very flat and you're getting all those little bumps or whatever out of it before you pull it up straight, because if you don't have it flat, it is going to come out a different length in the end, which is not what you're looking for. So all right, and we have one more section to go on that side. Just making sure all the bumps are worked out. So now you should have all your hair on both sides. Bring it up to the top. Cut down any extra that you find there. Okay. Got a little more right there. I'm much better with looking at it. Okay. And then a little texture. Perfect. Okay, so we are done with the front end of my hair. Now we're gonna move to the back. I just wanted to show you guys so far. The only amount of hair that I have taken out is this. So I just created a layered haircut with only taking off about this much, and I didn't take any off my length. As you saw, when I pulled it up straight, there was maybe one or two stragglers that I had to cut, but for the most part, there was no length being cut off. And this top part right here is always going to be your length when you're doing this haircut. So that was great. So now let's start next steps. So next steps, you want to brush your hair down, brush it down. And that same section that you used before for your middle section, the first one that you started out with is what we need right now. So we are coming from here, the tippity top crown of the head, and maybe a 1/4 inch piece that you want to section. So I have a section here. It's a 1/4 inch piece. It's right at the crown of my head where I started my first cut to figure out where the first layer was going to be. And then this is what's going to tie it into all the other layers in my hair. So now what I want to do is make sure that is perpendicular, because that's important. All right. I'm gonna have to get some clips and pin this. So this is the section that you want to use for everything else. For your guide is that section right there at the top, crown of the head, only about 1/8 of an inch wide, I would say. It's just so you can get your basis to where you need to cut. That's all. So once you have that out of the way, I would take your front sections and at least divide them out. You just have to get them out of your face and out of the way because you're not doing any more cutting with those right now. So and we don't want to get any of that hair involved in anything else or cut again at this point. Okay. So I'm going to take down one of my sections. If I was standing in back of the client, I would be doing both sections at the same time. But since I'm doing this at home by myself, I'm just going to do one section at a time to make sure we get the right angles and the right positioning and all of that. Plus, it's a lot of hair to handle if you do the whole thing at the same time. So it's just much easier if you're doing it on yourself to do one. So we're going to need to use that piece that we sectioned out. So I don't need the clip in it anymore, but I am going to put it to the front for right now. First thing you do is figure out where your part is, for one, because you're not looking at the back of your head, so we don't know. But we know all of this is for this side. All of this is for this side. So you take, technically, if we're doing one side at a time, especially, one triangle of hair, not a lot. You don't want to start off with a lot of hair. You want to start off with a little amount of hair. Bend it up. Okay, first is done. So I like to put that straight down there every time and then see how clean of a line I can get, because I only want to take those 1/2 inch sections with this as well. I just think that that's the most manageable amount of hair where you can still see where your guideline is. If you take too much hair, your guideline disappears. And if you don't take enough hair, the cut's going to take you a long time. So again, we pull it straight up. Everything that we're doing here, we're pulling straight up in the air. Perfect. So again, gets harder the farther back you go, because it's harder to discern the sections. But you have to try as hard as you can to get that section straight and not a lot of hair. So this is working out perfect so far. And again, as we've always been doing, this whole section needs to be completely straight. We want to make sure we have it nice, straight, and taut. And then again, before you cut, make sure it's pulled to the correct angle. So that's going to be straight up from the hair. I'm going to use the wider tooth comb because my hair is getting a little thick. All right. Brush it out, brush it out, brush it out. Go straight up every now and then. Check your angle. It's a lot easier for a person or hairstylist to be behind you and on top of your head basically and see where they're cutting, whereas if you're doing it by yourself, it's not as easy to see that. So sections towards the bottom, as I said, usually for me get a little thicker because majority of my hair is on the top. I have really thin hair on the bottom. So let's see our next section. Okay, we got that section. Okay, so again, the hair is being redirected to the middle. Even like a little over direction even. Rather than under. If you under direct it, you are going to get shorter hair. If you over direct it, it's going to be a little bit longer. So at least you're not going to cut off too much if you do that. So if anything, if you're not getting it completely straight up and down, then try over directing just a little bit, and that will leave you with a little longer of hair. And then if you need to go back and trim it more, then you can. But to start off, I always like to go easy and not as much. Okay, so that's the bottom of the back of my hair, and this is all that I would have to cut off. So I didn't cut any length really off the back of my hair, just a few stragglers, a few probably just split ends really, which is exactly what I was hoping for. I did not want to take off any length off of my hair, but I did want a new style to have that some layers in my hair. My hair's been growing out for 2 years now and I haven't had any layers or anything. It's just been growing out straight from an asymmetrical bob. So now I'm just gonna go in and chew these up a little bit, texturize them a little bit. Perfect. Okay. So now this whole side is done. And see, you can see all the layers already. All right, now we just have one back side to do. Okay, so I'm going to take that little piece that we used before because it's still good. I'm going to wet down my hair a little more. And I'm going to pull all of this, which is what I've already done, in the back and everything, because I don't want there to be any confusion there. I don't want to be cutting hair that I have already cut or anything like that. Although everything should match up once we get done here. So where's my little tie? Oh, great. I tied it into my ponytail. So we're going to take that out of the ponytail. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so now we have our single piece that we use straight up in the air. This is what's going to determine how long and layered the back of this section is going to be. So I'm going to start with a little section. Little section pulled up, all of these sections over directed, because we've already cut the first one, which is straight up, and then everything else should be an over directed cut, really. All right, that section was a little small. I didn't need to go that small. Oh, I'm going to use the big side of my comb. That would help if I use the little side. Okay, up to there. A little over direction. And I'm cutting off most of my just dead ends. I've been growing my hair for so long. I do get trims every 6 months, but I get a lot of dead ends anyway, and I am debating on, I want to grow my hair out so bad. However, I've had some issues with my hair falling out, so I'm really leery about that, and that's one of the reasons why I want to grow my hair out so bad, so at least I can grow it before anything becomes a problem and then I can't grow it anymore. But it's taken me a long time to get to this point. My hair doesn't grow as fast as what I would like it to, so I'm always doing reconditioning treatments, scalp treatments, things like that, so that I can try to nourish my hair back to life a little bit more. But I'm thinking after this, I am going to color my hair. That was the next thing that I wanted to do, is color it. Brad Mondo, I actually wanted to not do a bleach per se, but L'Oreal used to have a product called Platinum, and it was fantastic. It was a bleach, but it didn't damage your hair a lot. It was the perfect product for me, and of course now they don't have it. They have a new thing called Blonde, B-L-O-N-D, but I'm not in the hair industry anymore, so I don't know a lot about it. So any feedback on that would be great. Anything. I'm looking for the best way to go not very, very light blonde. I don't want to say bleach, but just very, very light blonde, without damaging the hair too much. What products out there right now that are really good for something like that, like a Platinum, or there's got to be something else. I know this Blonde, I just don't know how good it is, so if anybody has any insight on that, that would be great. And then I want to color my hair again. My hair's always been blonde. Recently, because I've been lazy, I have done more of a ombre, bleach foil every time I go to the salon, because I always say I want it so when it grows out, it doesn't look so foolish. I don't want that permanent line of demarcation and everything like that. So they said that I So I finally said that I wanted to do my own hair and just go back to doing it that way. I always liked my hair when I did it on my own. It's just now I'm much older than the last time I did, and I've had some hair problems in between, so I don't want anything to go bad on me. So I don't know. I guess any suggestions with new colors or anything like that. I can buy at a professional store because I do have my license, so I don't have to use non-professional products. But any help in that area would be greatly appreciated. I've kind of been thinking about it for a while and have yet to pull the trigger because I'm too scared I'm going to buy the wrong product and have it destroy my hair, basically. So Brad Mondo, please help me with that. I would love to know what your best idea to get somebody from, say, a level 6 or 7 up to a blonde would be without foils and not necessarily without bleaching, but without foils anyway. Just want it to be all one solid color, with just, you know, my natural highlights kind of poking through or whatnot. Okay, and again, I'm pulling the very last bunch at the bottom to the top, and I shouldn't have anything to cut off again, so maybe a few stragglers here and there, but nothing major. And yeah, just a couple stragglers, nothing major. So I'm actually just gonna cut point it, and I'll get those out of there, and we'll create some texture. All right. All right, so the final haircut is done. Just gonna brush it out real quick. Just a couple other things that I need to do here. Okay. Now I don't part my hair in the middle at all. However, for what I am going to do now, I am going to part it in the middle. So right down the middle. Separate. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna wet my bangs, or the front part of my hair again. Now, as I said, I'm planning on growing my hair out, so I am not going to go crazy with this because I actually want it longer for when my hair grows out. I don't want it to be short. So, when you comb your hair to the side, now you're going to have this layered effect on the side because of what we cut. So see how it goes like this, kind of, on a diagonal? What we want to do is separate that little bang piece, basically, that you have in front. So see the section that I took? It's just kind of a triangle section on front. Comb out the hair. I'm gonna comb it all back in because I want to take it, I'm gonna take it farther back. I have really thin hair again, so that little section that you take up front to start everything just isn't enough hair for me. So I am going to take this little section here. Now what we want to do is we want to cut at an angle down the hair. So where you want your first smallest layer to start, or shortest layer to start. If I wanted it to start here, I would start cutting at an angle here. I don't. I want it to form below my chin. So, below my chin, let's get all these hairs in there. And remember, this is all going to dry and it will shrink up. So I just cut it at an angle and then connected it with the rear length. This can be cut at an angle a little more. I know I said I don't want to go shorter, and I don't, but I am going to just in this little front piece so that it looks like an angle and not a square. Right, now take the whole side. In order to get those curls that go forward or under your chin and things like that, instead of cutting in the front like this, you actually cut in the back. So I just take a few like this out. There. And what that does is it takes your layers and it pushes them to the middle of your face. All right. So we need a little more spray. We want to always make sure that it's wet. If you're cutting wet, cut wet. If you cut dry, cut dry. But don't do wet and dry unless you really know what you're doing, because cutting dry is a lot different from cutting wet. All right, and this started about right here and went down and down and down. That's great. And then I'm gonna do this side, and I'm gonna come do a couple of those in there. That will make it push it out. Ooh. Okay, so I didn't take any length off at all, and I added layers to my hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow dry, and then I will let you know how it looks in the end. Okay. So, I guess let's talk about okay. So I'm going to use a little bit of HPF 30, and it protects hair from chlorine and UV rays. Down here in Florida, the UV rays are insane, and I've been trying to protect my hair in any way that I can. So just put a little UV protection in it. Second part, since it's wet, I'm going to put in my repair, damaged end repair. So it's Redken Extreme Lengths, and it is a leave-in treatment with biotin, and it's supposed to manage split ends. So it's a split end treatment. So I'm only going to use this on the bottom, and now my new layers, because those are now ends. So you don't use that much. I use about a size less than a dime. If you use too much, it gets a little bit crinkly for you. So that's never good. Next product is my Moroccan oil. I love this stuff. Not only does it protect, it smooths, it moisturizes. I just think it's fantastic. So, but again, I have such light hair that I don't use a lot of this product. I only use just enough to kind of coat my hands with it. And then I'm going to flip my hair, and I'm going to run it especially on the ends. Nothing really near the scalp, because that's all hair that's pretty healthy, and you don't want to weigh it down. You want volume. So I just put it on the ends a little bit. Any extra product that you have with the Moroccan oil, I love just rubbing it into my skin because it feels so great and it smells so fantastic. All right, and the next product that I use is Rusk Mousse. Rusk is not my favorite brand. I just went to the beauty store one day and asked them for a mousse that had a high hold, and this is what they recommended to me, so I tried it. I don't really like the smell of it, but it does have a good volumizing quality to it, so. All right, so I added that all around my scalp. I know there's certain instances where you can use mousse for the lower extremities of your hair where it comes out in really handy to do that. However, I don't, because it weighs my hair down. Like I said, the lower the hair is on my head, the thinner and more damaged it is. I'm sure that's the same case with a lot of people. But I just don't want to, weigh anything down or cause any other issues that I have just from the products that I'm using. So the next thing, I always brush in my product, because you never know if you've hit every hair or everywhere you want to go. So I always brush it in. All right, and now I'm going to blow dry. I have my Croc Green Ion hair dryer. This thing is phenomenal. Okay. Oops, still a little more. See, there's that volume that I was talking about. So the mousse really works well, I think. And then the Moroccan oil just helps protect it, and so doesn't that other, the other protector that I put in it. It has SPF in it to help with your hair with SPF. So I'm going to break out my comb and do my regular part, which is on the left side. And see how we did my left part, and you can see the hair going down the same way. That's why I said part it in the middle and do whatever you need to do, and then when you go from side to side, it will automatically kind of be there. The other thing that I wanted to do is, now that I have it in my section or whatnot, I take where my hair starts going, and I'll do a little streak down, especially on that side, because that side doesn't have as many layers. As you can see, this side has a lot more layers to it. So that is the long layered haircut. As you can see, I have long layers in my hair now. Let me flat iron it, and let's see how it looks flat ironed. Has a lot of volume, it has a lot of texture, so if there was anything that you wanted to do with it, it would be very easy at this point. Like I said, I don't necessarily care for the smell of the, I don't really care for the smell of the mousse. However, if you could put a little bit more Moroccan oil in it, I bet it would do just fine. Alright, we're already at that time. Everything heats up so fast these days. Okay. So this is it, which as you can see, I need a major hair color as well. But this is it as far as the cut. When it's straight, as you can see, the layers, they're very long. They don't start till about here, and then they keep going down. And I really like it. There's a lot more texture, a lot more volume. Like I said, my hair was basically all one length, except for in a few areas, and now it is not all one length anymore. So I am super psyched. And Brad Mondo, I hope I did a fantastic job on that. And I will post again when I decide to color my hair.